like to call the meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor Internal District to order at 3:56 p.m. Machines are open for roll call.
So where do I just go? Yep,
8 council members or commissioners are present. Reverend Edwards will be in shortly.
we got it.
Next item, please.
Executive session. Executive session to receive attorney-client privilege communications in regard to the contract matter pursuant to LRS 4217A10, Attorney Lauren McKnight. Executive session to receive attorney-client privilege communications to potential litigation in regard to a WSP USA Inc. lien pursuant to LRS 4217A10, Attorney Lauren McKnight.
I offer ask for a second. Second by Commissioner Koknovich. Any comments from the audience? Table. Machines are open to go into executive session. Passes 8-0. We'll enter executive session at 3:58 p.m. We'll come out of executive session at 4:13 p.m. No final or binding action was taken in executive session. Next item, please.
3, status report by the Executive Port Director.
Mr. Tilson.
Thank you. I actually put a new cover slide photo of the new Point Lahash Ferry Landing. What we see, this is on the East Bank, and I really wanted to just highlight this photo with the landing itself, the new bridge, and I also wanted to draw attention to one of the values that we've set for the port in the master plan, was community first, but with a global vision, global vision. Yeah. So I think that's very important because, the port has been very much engaged with the local community, and we know that it's been 2 years and 1 month since this landing has been condemned by DOTD, and we're just excited that we're coming down to the final stretch, and the landing will be opening. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it in the last slide. And can you move it for me? Next. So,
All right.
so if you could just flip in your books, and she will get it moving. The next slide is the financials. Any questions on the financials? Go to the next slide. We actually have some notes there for you on what those changes are. So if there are any questions after the meeting, feel free to give myself or Ms. Glapion a call, and we'll be happy to discuss them. Next slide. Plaquemines Pride is actually ahead of schedule in the yards, and we are anticipating in May that we will be getting that vessel back, and it will be not only completely overhauled, but it will also have a brand new paint job, and it will be in the color scheme of the Newport rebranding. This is not the Pride. This is the next one. So the Port Authority 1 and 2, those 2 rescue boats are scheduled to come out of the yards this month. We don't have the exact date yet, but they're making a lot of progress on those boats. And we made some upgrades, to the electrical systems, to the AC units, to the decks. So we're very excited that when we bring these 2 boats back, they are going to be in a lot better shape. And I think it will be a much better environment for the operators of those vessels, particularly in the heat of the summer or when they're fighting fires. New build ferry, the $26.5 million is still sitting there with DOTD, and the estimated completion date is in 2028. We do know that they are in contract discussions, but the actual design itself has not started as of yet. Next slide, please. Walker Road and I'll say Peters Road, Representative Burrow has requested that we make sure that we, clarify our communication and refer to that bridge as the Peters Road Bridge. That bridge, it is in DOTD's hands at this point. DOTD has streamlined its RFP process, so they will be actually having the RFP out in less than 30 days. The normal timeline is 90 days. I had discussions with the DOTD secretary this week, and he is assuring us that they are fast-tracking this project to ensure that we get that design done sooner than later. The 11-mile rail extension, very much on target. We are at this point, surveying the alignment and making sure that we look at those details and make any adjustments or changes that need to be made from that initial alignment that was actually submitted to the Surface Transportation Board. So we do anticipate that we will have some changes, and within the next month or so, you will start to see those changes. On the land purchase side, we have moved forward with the rezoning, and we are in discussions with 2 parcels right now in terms of moving forward with purchasing those properties. And as we progress those properties, we'll make sure that we communicate the progress to everyone. The water booster station, we are in phase 2, and we are making progress. There is a new resident inspector on the ground with Cowlin Associates, and they are monitoring our progress on an ongoing basis. Next slide, please. We are in the process of interviewing IT managers. We actually had 2 interviews today. We have another one that will be scheduled within the next week. The port's very excited because the 3 candidates that we have in front of us right now are very highly qualified. They are available right now, and we believe that we will have this position closed out with a highly competent individual within the next 2 to 3 weeks. We are moving forward today to defund that assistant port manager, as we've been talking about, and that position will be replaced with a unclassified position, which will be the special assistant to the executive director. Next slide, please. We continue to make progress with the building. I just wanted to point out that we're almost at the point where we're ready to execute the agreement to put the emergency bypass switch in place on the generator, and the design is actually in place for us to go ahead and redesign and actually take out all of the ventilation in the building and actually replace that. And we're anticipating having that done before hurricane season, as well as a new roof before hurricane season. I'd also like to point out that we are scheduled for Port Night on March 11th, and we will do a soft rollout of the rebrand with new rebranding material. But then we will also do a hard rollout in Baton Rouge at the Ports Association of Louisiana meeting, which will be on March 25th. With that, I would also like to extend my gratitude to the Port Commission for the proclamation of making March 2025 Plaquemines Port Month. This means a lot to us. I think the Port and all of its staff, we've all been working extremely hard, and to have this type of recognition is definitely much appreciated by everyone in the Port, and we just want to extend our thanks. Port safety stand down. I'd like to I'm going to have Mr. Brown say a couple of things, about the port safety stand down, but we've had some detailed discussions internally with what we're doing with our policies and our procedures. And, because we're at a pivotal point of putting a brand new or a refurbished ferry landing back in place. We're also getting ready to bring back the Plaquemines Pride. We're also getting ready to bring back 2 fire and rescue boats. So we are really going to be having a much higher focus on our policies and procedures for safety, for security, and for preventive maintenance. Mr. Brown, do you want to make some comments on this slide?
Yes, sir. So this week, Tuesday, continuing into Friday, we're having or have had a safety stand down where we stop service for 30 minutes. The whole team gets together and we discuss the safety items to mitigate our risk, to protect our employees, and most importantly, protect the public. For the port, safety is our number one priority. We carry the public across the river numerous times per day. And no matter what the schedule, if it's off or is on, we can't put a dollar sign to a life. So as you see in the slides, you continue to see from operations, safety is number one, starting from our policies to our culture.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Next slide. So this is the last, next to the last slide, but obviously we're over $5 million on the emergency repairs to the Point LaHash Ferry Landing, and both east and west banks are in place. We're doing some final electrical work. But I want to say we have Infinity Engineering here who did the engineering work. We also have Deep South who did the construction work. I want to recognize them, and as we finish the next slide, I'd like to have them come up and you gentlemen can feel free, and Ms. Patty can feel free to ask any questions that you may have. But I really want to make sure that the commission knows that the last 2 months have been the hardest 2 months of this project. These 2 firms worked diligently through the holiday season. They had to put up with me, just really ranting and raving, because I knew, just looking at the schedule and thinking about the winter months, that we were probably going to have some challenges. And who knew that we would have snow, right? Who knew that we would have the cold weather that we had? And so it is a good thing that we all buckled down. We worked through the holidays, and so I'm very happy, and I'd like to have them come up.
It was forecasted for a couple weeks, so,
What's that?
it was forecasted for a couple weeks to snow, so.
Well, it was clearly forecasted, but in December, as we were picking up the pace and really ramping it up, we did not know that at that time. So, and all that the port could think about is what we would have had to deal with Commissioner Edwards, had we, really not kicked in gear and really kept this thing on task. And we know it's still a tight timeline now. We're working diligently to get it done. But I've been committed to it. Mr. Brown has been committed to it. I really want to commend him, because Mr. Brown took a lot of shots from the community early on, and he really worked diligently over the last 2 years. And I will tell you, I am going to be very happy that we do not have to talk about these emergency repairs in future meetings, because it will be done. It will be behind us. And then the last piece here, we are in discussions with DOTD on the replacement of this ramp system. And I want to make sure that it's real clear to the commission and to the public. When we replace these ramps, it is going to be a world-class system that comes in place. But more importantly, what we are planning to do is repurpose, the existing infrastructure, and we will use it with our security boats, but it will also be a redundant system in the event that we need them in the future. And if someone wants to question what's the difference, because when you look at the new system today, the repaired system, it really looks really good. The difference between what we're finishing and what we're going to do, what we're finishing is the emergency repairs above the water, above the ground. When we go back and replace, right, when we put the new system in, it will be all new piling. So everything that's under the water and it's actually in the ground will be replaced as well. And our intentions is for that system to be in place for decades and generations to come. And then if I can just get you to put up the last slide, and we're going to run a quick video, and then I'd like to ask Deep South and Infinity to come up, please.
Trying. Did that.
So while she's working on that, I also want to make sure that I do not forget that one of our latest additions, our Director of Projects, this is her 5th month, she's going into her 6th month, but she's worked diligently as well with Mr. Brown on the project, and I'm very happy with the knowledge that she has about this project right now, what she picked up over the last few months. Are we ready?
I don't know. Doesn't like me. Let me see. Maybe I can get it to work this way.
So we may very well be having a bandwidth problem. So what we plan to show you is drone footage from this building over the top of the 2 landings.
That's not
And
on YouTube, is it?
this is not out there yet.
Okay, well, let's look into that.
Oh,
All right.
it's not working. I don't know what to do.
Okay. So why don't we just go ahead and move forward?
Thank you, Joe. Mr. Tilson. Any comments from the audience? Yes, sir. No, come on up. I said Joe.
Did you? I didn't hear it.
Thank you, Joe. I mean, it's still.
I didn't hear that. Drexel Narcisse, 17977, Sergeant Paul, Narcisse Highway. When can we expect the ferry to be running?
So we're finalizing electrical work tomorrow. All of the mechanical pieces are actually in place. We are waiting for DOTD to come out and do an actual load test. We've requested that they come out tomorrow.
So they work weekends?
We have not received confirmation on that, but we are going to remain diligent to try to get them out tomorrow. I can tell you, I had a conversation with the secretary about this on Tuesday, and we are committed to getting it open. We'd like to have it open for the parade, but it is really going to depend on when we get the load test complete.
Can we just do a pedestrian for Sunday? Is that possible?
We cannot do pedestrian for Sunday. The reason with the timeline being so tight, we'd rather have that boat in Bell Chase, that second boat, so we can ensure that everybody gets to the parade and everybody's to lead the parade, unlike how it was for the last 2 years where we had the long lines. And it's going to be, so 2 ferries. Expect the second service to run from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Thank you.
Okay, and I think the one last thing, we are planning to have a ribbon cutting, and if I'm not mistaken, we've tentatively set that date for March 14th. Ms. McNair, you want to talk about that a little?
March 14th, that's a Friday, right?
That's a Friday.
And I was wondering, could we move it to Saturday to allow people who normally off, whether they do it on a Friday, do it on a Saturday, that you can give more people to do it if that's possible.
I understand that. The reason we chose a Friday is because I have media committed, and media typically will not come on a Saturday. So Friday was the next best bet if we want to have coverage from the news to attend.
I would more prefer to have the community than the coverage if it was a choice of mine. You know, because I think it's something that they've been waiting on.
Oh, wait, you're not.
Okay, understood.
All right. Any other comments from the audience? Mr. Jurisich?
Didn't he want to get the,
Yeah,
Oh, come on up.
go after that?
You had your chance.
Chad from Deep South, why don't you come on up too?
No, I didn't give up my chance.
You're already in the queue, so you gotta go to the back of the line.
Please be brief as possible, please. Right, my name is Bill Thomasy, and I'm one of the principals at Infinity Engineering, and Chad, I was waiting for his cue to get up, and he never got up. I said, maybe I misunderstood, so we both kind of sat there shyly. But I do want to say that we do appreciate the opportunity that the Plaquemines Port Commission has given our firm to be able to be involved with this project. We took it extremely seriously. One thing that I can definitely look back on is when I was a young boy, we spent the summer, I lived back in on the other side in Empire. So I do know what it means to be relying on transportation such as this when you're in such a remote area. So the Reverend Edwards hosted a community meeting last month, and Chad and I attended that meeting along with some other people from our groups. And the pressure was already on, and we felt it. But I tell you what we did is we came out of that meeting feeling inspired. You know, I really have to say that. When we left, my project manager from the firm, he pulled me aside. It's like, man, I'm ready to charge a hill. And it's like it was just that nice to see this community, and it was really a pleasure to get to meet the people that were really leaning on it, that were relying on it, that were counting on us coming through. And so it just drove us home that much harder. So I do want to say thank you for allowing us to be a part of it.
Thank you, Bill.
Good evening, everyone. Chad Madera, one of the co-owners of Deep South Construction and Salvage. Obviously, we're proud to be a partner of this project of this magnitude. When we first got, this project came out was advertised for bid, which it fits directly in our wheelhouse of what we do. We're a marine towing company. We're a marine construction company. We're a fabricator as well. So this project really fit the niche for us. Obviously, round one, we did not get the bid. We were outbidded. Then the Corps wanted to do this slope analysis. So we had a second bite of the apple. And actually, we were the awardee of it. So we was proud to have a piece of this. And it really puts a mark on us for as fabrication-wise and exposure of just being proud of doing it because lifelong residents of Plaquemines Parish, born and raised here. My kids, grandkids will cross this ferry. Be something to be proud of that we put our name on. So we're, as far as constructions on the West Bank, we're probably, tomorrow we'll have lights on the West Bank tomorrow. The West Bank will be fully energized. We'll be moving to the East Bank and starting the electrical operations then. Probably about 3 days, fully completion of electrical on the East Bank. And then it just becomes minor touch-up, a little punch list. So we're really inside of 5 to 7 days, weather permitting, of getting this thing ribbon cutting ready for you guys. And we're proud to be a part of that, really. So,
All right, thank y'all.
thank y'all.
All right, Mr. Jurisich, you done?
No. On your updates right here, I see container port land purchases. What container port? Do we have one?
We are planning one, so we have a milestone list of projects that we're working on. And so we've started the rezoning, and for the Piano Key 2 area, that is the area where we're purchasing property for the container terminal.
Okay, the container terminal. A container terminal,
A
a
con-
possible or maybe container
A
terminal.
container terminal, we are committed. We plan to build a container terminal with APM and Maersk. We do still have some hurdles in front of us, but we are not wavering. We plan to get it done.
And it's still a LOI, not a,
It is still a LOI, but what I can tell you, what is different today versus 2 years ago when we signed the LOI, We now have 10% drawing on the Peters Road Rail Bypass. We now have a contract with the Union Pacific on that rail line to bring containers in and out. In terms of just working with the city of Gretna and the design, we also now have $7.4 million for the Peters Road Bridge, the re-engineering for that bridge. We are forwarding that 11-mile extension, intellectual property, the alignment piece. So we've made a lot of progress in pushing that project forward. And quite frankly, when I arrived here, I too had concerns that we didn't have those things in place, which are in place now. And I think that we are moving at the speed of business, and we're going to continue to do that and focus on getting it done.
I guess my question would be then, you got it written down as container port land purchases. It should just be port land purchases, because let's say the container port drags its feet, but something better comes, or something quicker comes along. That same property could be used for other purposes, if I'm not mistaken, other industry?
I will tell you that I have my commercial business development hat on now, and we are already thinking of dual use opportunities for that container port. But we do have an economic impact analysis for building a container port. And from an economic development point of view, what it will offer this parish and Jefferson Parish is a significant economic impact when it comes to distribution, warehousing, other opportunities that's going to bring a lot more jobs and a lot more impact to the two parishes.
And I just go by, because when you're acquiring land, purpose and need. And, the thing is, we know what we're fighting with,
Yes.
purpose and need. So that's all I have.
Yep, no, I appreciate the questions, and I tell you, we are focused on getting, these milestones, getting it done, and we are preparing now a new dashboard where we will be delivering a biweekly report on exactly what the progress is on each one of those items. We will be sending it to the Port Commission, to the parish president, to DOTD, as well as the governor's office.
You sure you got down? Mr. Cognovich?
So next meeting over here, we'll be riding the Point LaHash ferry.
We will.
Amen.
Thank you, and thank y'all for y'all hard work.
And you did say Point LaHash Ferry, not the Bell Chase. That's what I like. That's
Point LaHash.
Wait. Okay. We'll talk about motor vehicle or motor vessels. Reverend Edwards.
Yeah, again, I'm disappointed about what can happen this weekend, because this was some wishful thinking. But I really wanted to commend the Pope and the gentleman for the hard work. I've been going out there every day, and they've been doing some nonstop work. And it seemed like all of them really, they was trying to do everything they can to help. It was obvious to everybody that's working there, we trying to get this ready for y'all for the parade. I mean, worker was just telling me that, and I'm like, oh, wow. He said, no, we under pressure to get this done. So I really want to thank you, even though it's not happening, for the gallant effort, the heart that y'all put into making it really happen. I can tell you, I called Charles the other day, and I was trying to get a business enterprise there, because so many people was riding up the ramp to see the work, and people were just excited when they saw the ramp down. I said, well, if I charge $5 for every car.
Hey, don't charge tolls. Don't be charging tolls. We know about that in
I was
Belchase.
trying to just charge people from seeing it, because so many people was riding up, just viewing the people telling everybody like to do the ferry, like they really was getting the ferry. So again, and not only charge, but I really want to thank the workers for a job well done, and you couldn't, and second of, you couldn't have picked a better color.
Commissioner LaFrance.
Yes, Deep South and Infinity. I want you to tell you guys that I appreciate the work they're doing, and thank them for putting up with me, because I know they saw me almost every week going in there and trying to do a little video so I can give my people an update. but I truly appreciate the work, the quality of work that I see. And this, that repairs is totally, outstanding, completely, real good especially compared to what we had previous. There's no wood, that's state-of-the-art construction, and thank y'all for putting up with me, cause when I would go out there, they would tell me, oh, you can't pass this line here, you gotta have hard hat, you gotta have steel toe. I said, well, where your barrier tape? And you don't have no barrier up here, I can go anywhere. But anyway, and I know the people of the parish, the people of the community, they're gonna appreciate, and the people that work at, and, you know, at the courthouse and coal plant and people that come, utilize from the East Bank that goes to the West Bank to use the, you know, our grocery store, the hospital and everything. Truly, we appreciate it, and I know y'all was under pressure, and, well, you only can do what you can do. And the main thing, what I told you this morning, the main thing was about safety. That's the main thing. As long as we have a great, great construction and it hold up, well, if it hold my weight, then we good.
Yeah, because I seen him fishing catfish off on.
All right.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. I yield.
Next item, please.
4, bids and advertisements. There are none. 5, introduction of ordinances and resolutions.
Thank y'all.
Oh, I have one more thing, if you don't mind.
Hold on.
You said the ribbon cutting ceremony would be March the 14th. That's for the East and the West Bank?
It is for the East and the West, and we're definitely listening to Commissioner Edwards, and we'll get myself and Ms. Vignair and Ms. Bell will get together. We'll see if we can potentially work something out to be able to do it on a weekend. But we do think this is newsworthy. We think this is a very big deal, and we just want to make sure that we tell Louisiana that we fixed this, we got it done.
Okay, good, so I can let my people know in my community, in my district, and people. Thank you.
All right, intros.
We have 4 introductions under Commissioner Schultz. An ordinance authorizing Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District Executive Director Charles T. Tillotson to enter into a lease agreement with the Marine Spill Response Corporation for the dock space at Fort Jackson facility and to amend the 2025 Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District operating revenue budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing Charles D. Tillotson, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to issue task order number 12 to Lanier and Associates for engineering services related to the detailed design of a new port security dock at PPHTD's existing facility in Belchase, Louisiana, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2025 manpower structure and operating expenditure budget for reallocation of positions with the ferry and rescue boat departments and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the Executive Director of the Port, Charles Tillotson, through the Port's Executive Counsel's Office, and Dwyer Cambry on behalf of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District to file suit for the removal of a material man's lien by WSP USA Inc. for monies owed to WSP USA Inc. by Louisiana 23 Development Company LLC, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto, and that is it.
All right. Deferrals, we're going to defer 6B as in boy, C, J, and 7A1 is going to be withdrawn as it was reintroduced. So 6B, C, J are deferred, 7A1 is withdrawn. Is that match everybody's? Any questions?
What is 7A1?
That's the lawsuit, the suspension.
Correct, yes.
That was withdrawn and introduced just now. Any comments from anybody? Next item, please.
Ordinances and resolutions on second reading and final passage. 6D, an ordinance authorizing the executive director of the port, Charles Tillotson, to enter into an agreement with T. Baker Smith for the surveying services to facilitate the rezoning of port properties, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Schultz, and this has a fill in a blank.
Go
On
ahead.
lines 20, 27, and 27, the amount of $213,600 was inserted.
I offer with the changes. Ask for a second. Second by Reverend Edwards. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 8-0, or 8-1 with a no vote from Mr. LaFrance. Next item, please.
An ordinance establishing the expenditure authorization for the executive director and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Schultz, this has changes.
Go ahead.
On lines 21 and 42, we're removing $250,000 and we are inserting $125,000.
With that, I'll offer with the changes. Ask for a second. Second by Mr. Newsom. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Ms. McCarty?
I'd like to offer an additional change.
All right.
I would like to offer that the port chair, in order to have checks and balances, that the port chair be authorized to spend above $50,000 to $125,000. The port chair be authorized to approve instead of the port director.
Wait,
Therefore, there's a check and balance.
hold on. Are you saying that anything above 50,000,
Would come.
I have to approve up to 125? And then after that, it has to come to us?
Yes, that way there would be a check and balance. I've seen other boards do that, that's why.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it too. That's why I was verifying above, all right, hold on. Before you officially offer that amendment, Danny looks like he's verifying some stuff. Mr. Jurisich.
Yes, this would be given the power to spend up to
Okay, so-
$125,000 without coming before.
So
us.
let me clarify what this is. So this is for line item, prior appropriation, things that are already in the budget, not professional services general, not maintenance general. This is, example, we just voted on the FLIR camera, like that we already budgeted, and then we had to come back and say, all right, you're approved. Well, that one was over 125,000, but the bow thrusters, we already put that in the budget last year. We already went through the budget process. We approved the budget, but then we had to come back because I think it was like $56,000, and that was over his threshold. So we had to come back, do a special meeting just to vote on that to give him approval. I forgot what it was. So this is just raising it to 125,000 to give him, that's already in the budget as a line item thing, not a general maintenance, professional services, whatever, that we've already approved, because we already approved the budget, that's giving him to the authority. And if Ms. McCarty, well, we'll get back, oh, you're in queue next. So that's what this is doing. And again, it's not blanket authority for him to go do whatever.
Yes, even though it's in the line item, I just think that we need to be more aware of what's going on for the expenditures. And that's why I want to make sure that it comes back to at least the port chair, and maybe we get notification of that. Thank you.
And I'm going to add, from an audit standpoint, I have seen it done where you either have a second signature on checks over a certain amount or something like that. So it's not unheard of that you do that. But that will have to be a vote. But I cannot approve the expenditure. I'm just approving when he comes to request it, that it's already in the budget and approval. Let's be clear, if that's your amendment. Mr. Kognovich.
Before it was changed 3-4 years ago, it was 250,000.
Correct.
Same as the parish president. We changed it because
Yeah.
there's reasons why, and that's why we changed it.
Yeah, and that's why I'm trying to get back to, I originally had 250, but I heard there was some concern being so high, so I met in the middle at 125. If somebody wants to change it to 250, we can vote on 250. I don't care because we go through the whole budget process, and it has to be a line item appropriation, not just a general thing. So I'm fine with however this board chooses to go with. That's kind of where I'm standing, but instead of doing these special meetings just to give them approval when we already approved the budget, it was kind of getting a little out of hand. Mr. Champagne?
If we're gonna do that, why are we even changing it? I don't, you know, we hire the port director to do a job. This is an item that's been budgeted. We've given him an authority to move forward on these things based on the budget. And I know we had 250, much like the parish president, reducing to 125. In my mind, is that checks and balances? Again, I think the port director does not need another set of eyes to tell him how to spend his money, considering we've already looked at it and approved his budget. So I recommend we keep it as is. I yield.
Reverend Edwards?
Yeah, I had some very concern about this, and then after talking to Chris, I had a different take of mind. I'm not in favor, and I didn't understand what Chris saying that you're in favor of it coming to you. Is that what you're saying?
Well, to be clear, I think it's a kind of almost like requiring a second signature on checks over that, but I'm not the one approving it. I'm just giving him approval. And again, I've seen it done, but it's more on the check side, signing checks, but we already require 2 signatures on all of our checks.
That's my position.
So,
I'm for leaving as is.
So that's where we stand. Ms. McCarty, you are the last in queue, so I'll let you decide if you want to offer that in there or not.
I'd still like to offer, because even though we require 2 signatures, those 2 signatures come from the people who are working within the administration of the port, and it doesn't come back to the council, the commissioners. And since we're increasing the amount, I'm not against increasing the amount. I'm only saying that I want a check and balance so that we're aware of when that happens. So when it goes above 50,000, I just want us to be aware of it. And Chris, instead of us coming, sorry, Mr. Schultz, instead of us coming back to another meeting, it still allows us to approve it without coming back to another meeting, but the port chair's eyes will be on it as a check and balance. That's all I'm asking. So yes, I still offer.
Okay, hold on. Can we finish this discussion first, or do you want, okay. Reverend Edwards?
Yeah, again, to me, I think it's just a thing of trust. If we're gonna start, I ain't for trust. I just think that where we at is really good. Unless Charles do something to change that trust, then I'll say we do it. So I'm not changing it because I don't see it as a trust issue.
Dr. Gooey?
As a legislative body, we approve a budget. And with that budget, there's tags along with that budget as to what those appropriations are to be used for. From an administrative standpoint, that administrative body is supposed to follow those policies. So if we set the policy, it's a line item, we know where there's going to be an expenditure. I think we let the port director do his job, go ahead and do what he's got to do. He can tell us later. Last time this happened, we had to wait and call a special meeting, and who knows what the problem's going to be. You ought to have the immediate ability to make that decision, and you can advise us after.
All right, Mr. Jurisic?
Yes, I know we budget, with the government as well, with the administration. And when we budget something, say for vehicles, they still have to come to us to get approval for those vehicles, even though they have the budget for it. I'm just trying to figure out what's the difference here.
No, they don't.
They don't?
No, the only reason why they were coming to us for the vehicles because we moved into that designation for the vehicles, but because of the timing of the year end, we had then to move it from the designation into the proper departments. So if there's a new item, yeah, if he needs a vehicle, let's just say vehicle, like the Gazette like to try to throw out there. If he needs a vehicle, that's not in his budget right now. So he would have to come to us for a budget. So, but if he had in his budget during the budget process, budget $60,000 for a Tahoe, that's our opportunity to nickel and dime as,
I was just trying to decipher.
yeah, no, because,
We put so much in a budget.
correct,
for equipment,
like, right,
put so much in a
but
budget.
equipment's not, that's the difference. The if it just says equipment, that's not a particular line item appropriation. It has to specify engine replacement or Tahoe or whatever. It cannot just be a general item. That's the way, line 41, basically, specific prior appropriation. Thank you, I can never say that word. So, Mr. Koknovich.
Yeah, I think if we worried this much about Charles having the authority to spend this money, we need to change the way the parish does the president. Because, you know, I've asked for things, I still can't get them, so I'm good with this.
Yeah, all right. Back to your, do you want to offer that amendment still?
I do, and I'll have it denied. I'd rather offer it and have it denied.
Okay, so
What is the amendment?
the amendment will work on the wording, is basically require, anything over 100, over the 50,000 up to 125,000, the chairman of the port would have to also approve? Is that basically what you're asking?
It would come to the chairman to approve it.
And I would suggest, would require the concurrence of the port chair. 'Cause
Okay. So that will be the wording that we're voting on. Does everybody understand the amendment we're voting on currently? Okay.
Second.
I know, I'm getting there. So, do I have a second? Second by Mr. Jursich. Any comments from the audience on the amendment? From the table, or I mean, from the administration on the amendment? From the table, Mr. Edwards.
Again, I just think we should leave it as it is. To me, it's really about trust. And I don't think nobody has been a big critic of Charles than me, you know? And so I just think at some point, you know, we gotta trust. And if anytime we do anything different than it needed, I don't see anything to warrant this at this stage. So I would like to see it remain as it is.
So, all right. Does everybody understand what we're voting on the amendment? That anything between 50 and 125 will require concurrence from the council or the port chairman. Machines are open. All right, it fails. 3 yeas from Mr. Jurisich, myself, Ms. McCarty, and 6 noes from Mr. Koknovich, LaFrance, Newsome, Gooey, and Champagne, and Reverend Edwards. Now, we're back to the original ordinance changes, with the changes of 125,000. Does everybody understand that, where we are? Any comments from the audience? Administration,
So I have a question.
Q in.
Just to clarify, this is to change it from 250 to 125
Well-
instead of 225.
Okay, it was originally 50. My original ordinance had 250. I made change to compromise down to 125. So it's technically changing his authority from 50 to 125.
Okay, thank you.
But with the added restriction above 50 to 125, that it has to be a specific budget appropriation.
Correct, correct. Yeah, it has to be in line with the rest of all the other documentation in this ordinance. Everybody understands what we're voting on. Machines are open. That was not, passes 5-4 with no votes from Mr. Jurisich. Oh, your District 8, sorry, Newsome, McCarty, and Reverend Edwards. Yes, I'm good. I'm kind of confused after all that discussion on the way the votes went, but, well, I knew you would, but I'm confused. I
told you, I want to leave it at 250.
Yeah, you wanted to leave it at 250, but.
That was the way that.
So can I confirm that is 125?
Yes, 125. That's line item appropriation, let's be clear. not professional services, general, maintenance, general, all that. All right. Everybody good? Next item, please.
An ordinance to amend the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District 2025 manpower structure and operating expenditure budget to unfund the Assistant Port Manager position in the General Operations Division, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Schultz.
I offer, ask for a second. Second by Commissioner Cognovich. Any comments from the audience? Administration. Table, Commissioner McCarty.
Is this to unfund the deputy port director? I'm confused
No.
about the title here.
The Assistant Port Manager.
Okay, I
Miss-
just wanted to make sure it wasn't the deputy port director. Okay, thank
No,
you.
the Assistant Port Manager, she became the HR Director. Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
A resolution to authorize the signatories on all Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District bank accounts at Hancock Whitney Bank and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Schultz.
I offer, ask for a second. Second by Commissioner Newsom. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table, Ms. McCarty.
Sorry, I have a few questions. I was just wondering why we have two banks instead of one, because the next one is going to be a different bank.
We have two banks because we have the Word of funds in Hancock Whitney, and then we have all of our other funds in Regions Bank.
Is there a reason, just for clarification, is there a reason we don't work with one bank? That's all. I'm asking.
We have not changed it. I think we have a good relationship with both banks. It works well. It's not broken, so we just have decided not to change it.
Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
H, a resolution to authorize the signatories on all Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District bank accounts at Regions Bank and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Schultz.
I offer, ask for a second. Second by Commissioner McCarty. Any comments from the audience? Administration. Table. Machines are open. They said that at the same time. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
I, an ordinance to amend the 2025 manpower structure and operating expenditure budget to create and fund the Special Assistant to Executive Director position and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Schultz.
I offer, ask for a second. Second by Mr. Newsom.
Thank you.
Any comments from the audience? Administration. Table. Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
Okay, an ordinance to amend the 2025 Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District operating expense budget and to authorize the Executive Director of the Port, Charles Tillotson, to enter into an agreement with Blank for their surveying services to facilitate the discovery survey of the MSRC dock and adjacent port property to determine if the property is suitable for previous use and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner LaFrance.
Can you put K on the screen though, please?
Is it fill in the blank?
Okay, go ahead. Thank you. Wait, hold on, fill in blank.
On lines 3, 19, 25, and 40, insert the word T. Baker Smith in the blank. And on lines 27 and 34, and in the bottom of the chart with the money, with the funding, insert $48,800.
Thank you. You offer, Ms. LaFrance?
Yes.
Mr. LaFrance offers, second by Mr. Newsom. Any comments from the audience? Administration. Table. Machines are open. Ms. McCarty. Passes 8 with one abstention from Mr. Cognovich. Next item, please.
Allen ordinance in accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 34-1351 at sec And ordinance number 12139, the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District is requesting that the Plaquemines Parish Civil Service Commission relinquish all human resource functions to the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District's Human Resource Office, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto Commissioner Schultz.
I offer ask for a second. Second by Mr. Reverend Edwards. Any comments from the audience? Administration. Table. Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
No items under new business. 8, approval of the minutes from the February 13th, 2025 regular meeting.
Offered by Mr. Newsom. Do you have a second? Second by Mr. Cognich. Any comments from the audience? Administration. Table. Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Do you have a motion? Motion by Ms. McCarty. Comments? Machines are open.
Yes.
We have adjournment passes 8 with one no vote from Mr. Edwards. Adjournment at 5:08 PM.